Hi guys, I'm Amelie, and to start, I want to play a game with you all. I'm going to flash some pictures up on the screen, and if you know who I'm talking about, raise your hand without saying anything. If you don't know who I'm talking about, just keep your hand down. All right, let's begin. Okay? There are two on this one. If you know either of these, raise your hand. And finally, all right, let's delve into this. I know what you're thinking looking at this slide. Amelie, that's ridiculous. Why would you compare Trisha Paytas to our Secretary of Defense? Well, why didn't you know who that was? I want to talk for a moment about the fact that we're barely heavily involved with social media influencers, children of celebrities, and random people on TikTok that we've decided to engage with and make famous. But we don't know the first African-American leader of the Pentagon and Secretary of Defense. We don't know the second female president of India and first of tribal origins. And then we don't know the 2023 winner of the Nobel Peace Prize for Iranian human rights activism. Why is that? That we call these people our social leaders, our instigators of change, but they don't affect us like the titles that we give them do. I want to talk for a minute about what the word influence means. It's a verb, but when used as a noun, it's the capacity to have an effect on character, development, behavior, character, behavior, development, these innate parts of who you are. So why was it that in the late 2010s and early 2020s, we began to call these people that we saw on social media influencers, people who have the ability to have a development on our behavior, the innate part of who we are, the things that make us different? Again, I know you're probably thinking, Amelie, celebrities affect you more than anyone else I know. You talk about it all the time. And that's exactly why I find this presentation so insightful, because it shows that these things happen to all of us, regardless of whether or not we're thinking about it. I sent out this survey to some of my peers in my class. And what I found interesting was that not everyone noted that they had a favorite celebrity or that they were heavily involved in celebrity culture, but 100% of them said that they thought that their peers were affected by celebrity culture more than that of their political leaders and social instigators of change. I did some research a couple years ago by watching this documentary called The Social Dilemma. And I also read this paper recently for this TED Talk that discusses the way in which our brain reacts when we're online. Studies have shown that when we engage and interact with things online, a similar amount of dopamine is released in our brain to that of when we take drugs or alcohol. And watching this documentary, in various court trials and hearings, we've also found that the leaders of social media sites use our activity to push these same things back up to us, giving us this unilateral view of the world. And like any other addiction, it's hard to get out of. But unlike most other addictions, this is being pushed to you by people who spend all their time, their entire careers, their entire degrees on finding ways to suck you back in. Again, this looks ridiculous. I myself claim that I love Taylor Swift, but I cannot stand behind the fact that the majority of young people in 2024 say that they'll vote for whoever the superstar votes for in the next presidential election. In her documentary, Miss Americana, she details that when she decided to give political outreach, when she decided to publicly endorse Senator candidate Marsha Blackburn, it didn't actually have an effect, but the majority of young people in Tennessee found themselves at the polls that day, regardless of whether they were registered to vote before or not. So when are we going to stop giving superstars superpower? Because these people, they give us music, they give us life, they give us creativity, but they shouldn't give us our beliefs. That's something that comes only with your own development and experiences. This actually mirrors some logical fallacies we talked about in my AP language class. Bandwagon, transfer. We see these people that we want to be, that we want to know, what we want to look like. And that gives us the idea that just because they support something that we should be like that. We want to be like everyone else. We're social creatures. We don't want to be excluded. But that's exactly what makes us all the same and all very different at the exact same time. And I have to admit, it's nice to think about seeing yourself in someone else, especially when your self-esteem is at a low or you want to have an escape from your daily life. I mean, I think I look pretty good on a Vogue cover, personally, but I do want to circle back to the idea of influence. Effect on character, effect on development, effect on behavior. That's an innate part of who you are. Let's remember that celebrities aren't bad people. They're not trying to target you. but it is an addiction, and research has shown that. Harvard Health details that steps to quitting addiction are changing your environment, distracting yourself, and creating a support network. These all involve surrounding yourself with other people. So I want to note that a key part of getting over this addiction is finding idols in your life around you, in your friends, in your mentors, in your peers. Because that's what creates truly who you are. I want to end with this quote from my middle school classroom, which I thought was pretty cheesy. But looking back on it, there's so much value in being yourself. I mean, genetically, it's impossible to be the same as someone else. And if you're a twin, your genetics are still expressed differently because of your environmental factors. So why would you spend your whole life, every day, every time, trying to be someone else when it's statistically impossible to be so? Why is our development affected by those who don't know us, by those who only appreciate us for a follow, a like, and a click? Thank you.